All right, guys, here we are on the map Metropolis, and on the right side of it at the 3 o'clock position in pink from alternate attack, it is Delphi or Delphi. Did we agree on Delphi, I think, last time?
I don't know, because I've heard from a lot of people that it's Delphi.
Well, Delphi would be
a lot of people it's from Delphi, and there's an ancient Greek city.
Exactly. Delphi would be the proper pronunciation.
Right.
If we're talking about the Greek pronunciation, I believe, right?
Yes.
So
if
I'm
it's
fine.
The Greek city,
I would
it's
be
Delphi.
inclined to call him Delphi. Delphi to me sounds like a bad American mispronunciation of it, frankly.
Yeah.
So let's go with Delphi.
Okay.
Delphi. All right, Delphi at the 3 o'clock and at the 6 o'clock in the blue from the team Infinity 7. Winner of the last game against Zaka in a win-or-die situation, it is Insur.
And it was a win-or-die situation last game for him as well, but he was able to come on through. So we'll see now if his PVZ is on point as well.
Yep.
So map is Metropolis. It's a pretty good choice for a Zerg player here. You just have to watch out at the beginning of the game that you don't get your third base trapped too quickly by a quick Protoss player. They do have a lot of options to drop pylons around the outside of the map and put pressure on. It's also pretty conducive to air units as well, given the amount of space that's around the corners of the map. So certainly an interesting choice. I think it's a good choice out of Delphi as long as he can get past that kind of dastardly mid-game.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the point where it all gets a little bit iffy. You know, I mean, can the Protoss deny that third base? If they can, they're in great shape. You know, can the Zerg put some pressure on Protoss instead, possibly? This isn't the best map ever for, like, Roach all-ins, but it can be okay in the later stages of the game for later game tech for a ZVP. So I'm curious to see what Delphi's got planned, and barely gets the hatchery down in time, and immediately that probe is probably going to go to that third base location.
Yeah.
Try to be annoying there, or not. No, he probably is.
Little blue dots puttering him away at the moment.
Yep.
But, yeah, back up
right
now for Insur. He does have Forge immediately putting up a Nexus afterwards. Nothing out of the ordinary. Both of those coming on a little bit later. Supply 17, which I like, especially on this map with the long walk distance. He knew when that spawning pool was coming up, knew when the Zerglings were going to be a threat. There are 6 of them coming out now, which is a little bit interesting for Delphi, so we'll see what he chooses to move into here in a second. Actually needed the extra 2 supply for a queen.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that, because normally you would just go for like 4 and then a drone at this point, or 2 and then 2 drones. But he wants to get a lot of Zerglings out there early to get a lot of map control, find probes that may be out on the map being annoying, and also, if he can sneak in, why not? If he can get a look at the gas, if he can harass, maybe even kill a probe or 2, it's worth a try, I suppose, but he's not going to be able to get in before this cannon finishes, and that's a complete wall-off anyway, I think.
It is.
So
this was kind of, both their plans kind of come clear. I understand why he made 6 Zerglings. Okay, well, I don't have to take out this pylon. I'm just going to go ahead and run down to your base. Oh, and look at that, Insur not able to block the next hatchery as well, as Delphi is able to put down that third base. So he's going to start going to work on the destructible debris on the left-hand side. But Insur says, I'm going to full wall this, and there's a pretty good reason for that. Very easy for him now if he wants to go for a robo and a couple additional gateways, and behind a lot of sentries and just a couple of immortals, you can deflect almost any number of roaches.
Oh, yeah.
And very safely take a third if he wants.
Well, that Gateway Immortal 2-base push is just so deadly right now. It's so difficult. But Delphi looking like he really wants to put a lot of aggression on early. And can he get the probe? Oh, barely doesn't get it. Yeah, now, for what Insur is doing, seeing that entirely walled off, to a lot of Zergs, I think would say that there's a strong possibility of Stargate coming out. That was kind of the traditional thinking when you saw full wall-offs like that. Now, while that's not the case anymore, I'm sure that our Zerg player is going to be checking that out pretty soon. He's got an Overlord in position, in fact, to look for that.
Well, let's see here. This probe's really going to have to watch out as we have a little bit of a back and forth here. And you are correct. There are actually 2 Overlords hanging in position above the main and the natural. In fact, Delphi gives that Zealot the slip, runs on past, and this probe now has to run for its life.
Wow, a lot of probes being sent out early on, or actually was that the same one? No.
Yeah, it was actually, because...
I was like, is that a different probe?
It's just down to 1 health. Aww.
No, goodbye, probe.
See you later.
Sorry. Thanks for scouting. Oh, the queen's just like, shut down.
Dunked. All right.
Touchdown.
That's true. And other sports cliches.
That's right.
So
goal.
Couple of Overlords hanging above, and of course he does see critically that next gas being put down, so he knows it's going to be a fairly aggressive use of gas at the very least. Doesn't explicitly have to be Stargate, and in fact in this circumstance it's just going to be a couple of additional gateways.
Yep.
But it's going to be pretty heavy sentry composition and potentially another, or maybe a Twilight Council or something like that here in a bit.
Yeah. I don't know. You think there's still a possibility of Robo and Immortals?
Or
would you normally want to get that started by now?
Well, I mean, if you were going to do the Robo Immortal, quickly go down through the destructible debris and then expand very early on, you'd want to already have the Robo with vision over your opponent's base in case they're doing, or have an observer over your opponent's base in case they were doing something really weird.
Right, of course.
But it is still a possibility.
Yeah, I think you're right, though. I mean, like I love to mention constantly, I don't play Protoss, so for the timings on that, I'm not as certain. But yeah, normally you'd think you'd want to see the Robo out by now if they were going to go for something like that. +1 is getting finished here pretty soon here. Are we going to see a +2 potentially? There's a lot of stuff saved up too. I think we might just see a big amount of 4-gate pressure, and there's a Robo, so probably just going to see an expansion actually from INSUR instead of some aggression. Just going to go ahead and play it really safe and solid.
Now, INSUR's a little bit more blind than if you put this down earlier. Kind of what I was mentioning before. It's a really cool build to go for the Robo and a couple of additional gateways right afterwards. You can just you can take an expansion so safely. You're safe against roaches. On top of that, you're also safe against any sort of weird tech switches because you already have observers floating over your opponent's base. But in this case, INSUR doesn't really have a clue what his opponent is doing. Fortunately for him, looks like heavy roaches for now, as we see 6 more Overlords being finished up at about the same time. And heavy unit production is going to commence very soon.
Yep. Yes, indeed. There will be a lot of units at a time where Delphi might not be quite expecting it. So, we could see a bit of aggression, but yeah, he should know that there's an expansion there as well. And so depending on what Delphi wants to do, that could be a good thing for him to see. He could be happy about that. He is making a decent amount of roaches right now, but he also is up to a ton of gas. So yeah, we're not going to see the Roach Max. We're going to see that Spire.
And this is why when you want to go for that expansion, it's a really good idea to put that Robo down earlier, because now he's preparing for anti-roaches. He does have Blink coming up, which is a little bit of saving grace. But, if you were floating observers over your opponent's base and you see this Spire pop out, you keep patrolling back and forth, you immediately throw down a Templar Archives because you really want to be prepared with a couple of Archons and Storms eventually. So this could certainly catch INSUR off guard a little bit. Like I said, he'll be better off than in some other possibilities because he will have Blink available, but there's still the potential for Delphi to do some very real damage with those Mutalisks.
Yeah, no Infestation Pit or anything like that yet, so it will be Mutalisks from Delphi. And Blink will be done for INSUR too, so I think he's going to be in a pretty good spot to kind of handle a lot of that pressure. A couple spines going down, probably going to need a few more before the day is out.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind at all seeing Delphi expand again when he goes out to pressure with those Mutalisks, just because with something like that, you really need to continue to keep getting ahead. 3-base Muta generally isn't something that's going to beat a 3-base Protoss unless the Mutas can do a lot of damage early on. But it looks like he's going to have enough for about 12 Mutas. Yeah, and there they are. 12 Mutalisks immediately started.
That's right. And INSUR has the right inclination right now because he's looking at that. Oh, unfortunately for him, he catches the drones that are transferring over to the left-hand side. But he's got to be wondering, that's a really small amount of roaches at this stage of the game. If you were doing nothing but sitting on roaches, and in fact, the observer, really didn't take that great of a look around the main
Yeah, he doesn't know about the Spire, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even get in there in a time to see gas.
Second Spire on the way, too. He might just decide to go mass Mutas. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to see. I don't know if we're going to see any Tier 3 tech actually out of Delphi this game. He's just going to be going for huge amounts of Mutalisks and upgrades, taking bases all over the map while he keeps his opponent in his base and just slowly whittle him down. This is what you saw a lot of Zergs do on Tal'Darim Altar, in fact, versus Protoss. But I like, though, that he's not neglecting his ground upgrades along with this.
That's
a lot of Zergs will just be like, oh, all Muta upgrades, and then just kind of forget their ground army. But you are still going to need some ground army to defend, too. So Delphi doing something a bit unorthodox, but doing it in a smart way so far.
That's right, and actually does have mining started on his opponent's side of the map as well. Just got to steal as many resources and gas as he can. Shorter reinforcement, of course, as well. And I got to tell you, that is an excellent roach killing force that's out for INSUR at the moment.
Yes, it is, but it's not enough Stalkers to handle a gigantic amount of Mutalisks, and the Mutas are starting to come across the map right now. A lot of them out on the field, and so the question is, will INSUR pull back, or will he just try to force some sort of base trade? He's getting a Warp Prism as well, and there are no cannons in the main. Oh, man, that's going to be a lot of dead probes.
He's out of position, and look
Or
at how
pylons.
much gas that INSUR has banked up. If there was a Templar Archives down right now, that's 6 Templar he could warp in right away, or 3 Archons.
Yeah.
That's a much more stout defense against those Mutalisks, but unfortunately he just doesn't have that flexibility.
Yeah.
The Mutalisks steal a few kills, make their way out of there, and that hopefully should convince INSUR to change things up a little bit.
Well, yeah, you're seeing those double upgrades go up now for the Spire Tech for Delphi, and you can see he just immediately pulled back with those Stalkers. Didn't even try to fight or anything like that. Didn't try to pick off any Stalker or anything like that. Just pulled it back immediately with the Mutalisks, and that's what you want to do if you're going for just gigantic Muta numbers. Oh, building 8 spines at once. Yeah, big-time Muta play coming out for Delphi. Getting that Baneling Nest as well. Adding on the Infestation Pit for some late game play. But a lot of times what you'll do, because you'll be knowing they're going to be getting a ton of Stalkers, is you'll go for Banelings, right? Because there's not going to be any sentries to put up force fields to block the Banelings from getting into the late-game Stalker numbers. And at this point, yeah, he's just kind of throwing some roaches at his opponent. Everything is going to be focused on keeping his opponent in his base. And is this third base prepared?
I don't know. Let's see what's back at home now. A couple of photon cannons going up in emergency, but I don't think that alone is going to be enough. The 24 Mutalisks floating overhead with +1 upgrades. +2 is on the way, and +1 Carapace as well. 9 more Mutas going to get added on here in a second. He's sitting on 100.
Oh, man. 10 Mutas on the way.
Yeah, he's sitting on 107 drones as well, because all he wants to do damage, remax on Mutas, do damage, remax on Mutas over and over and over again. But the smart thing is as well is that you mentioned before that he's building towards his tier 3 play as
look
well.
at that.
I think that's so
Oh, the big blink, though. Oh, Delphi may have made a mistake here. Yeah, losing a lot of Mutas. He's producing a lot, but he lost a good amount there. What's the Muta count total at right now? Sorry to cut you off, but
No problem.
that was big. Still 22 Mutas, so he's still going to be, excuse me, in decent shape. But yeah, he's doing a good job of keeping INSUR in his base, so that's the big deal.
122 drones.
What? Well, you're going to need him if you're going to make that many spine crawlers, I suppose. But man, that is a lot of drones.
His
That is so many.
income is out of this world.
Well, yeah, he's playing the style so far probably better than I've ever seen anyone play it. Honestly, he knows that you're not going to be able to keep a lot of these bases. You make a ton of spines to delay. You make a ton of drones to just mine out the map extremely fast, get a huge bank going, and then continually pump out ridiculous amounts of Mutalisks. And look at that. That's exactly what he's doing. Man, Delphi just taking this Muta style to just another level, in my opinion, right now. He's about to have 2-2 in his upgrades. He's going to have Infestors, Banelings, everything he really needs to defend. This base may be in a little bit of trouble, but look at this. More damage being done on the counterattack.
Yeah, that's right. And fortunately, a little bit of splash was done there as well. In fact, if these Archons get up, could pose a little bit of a problem, but it looks like the Mutas are going to be able to dispatch of them in time.
Yep,
so
they are.
Mutas actually swinging over and saving this base as well. At the same time, though, a big push is coming right up the front. And it looks like Delphi is okay with that. He's sitting back at home for now and just continuing to ravage his opponent's economy. He's killed 36 workers already.
Yep.
Big push is still coming through the front, though.
Killing off the Cyber Core. Look at this, though. It is 6 bases for our Zerg player, and it's taking so much time for INSUR to work his way through all these spines. 14 more Mutas on the way. As long as they don't get rallied over the army, he's going to be able to make good use of those. We'll have to see. The Archons just not doing enough damage fast enough.
Yeah, they do a little bit there. Those man.
That one did okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The photon cannon will eventually go down, but we're taking a look at 49 workers to 99 at the moment. Not a lot able to stop this big Protoss army.
Yep. He needs to start trading base for base. He needs to start killing those Nexus, man. I mean, yeah, it's great to kill probes, but you can't be chasing them all around the map like this. You need to start killing Nexus, and it looks like he's leaving a couple Mutas to do that possibly, but Delphi is just not being focused enough.
He's not, but I gotta tell you, man, I think he can do this.
I think he can. I think he's got the game won, but things like that just kind of freak me out, man.
I understand. I understand. It looks like he's picking off critical tech now. Templar Archives
Okay,
goes
there
down.
we go.
He's sitting on 42 Mutas at the moment with +2 attacks and +2 armor, just about to finish up now. And the Spy Crawlers have done their job. They've delayed the army from INSUR quite a bit. He still does have a very overwhelmingly powerful frontline engagement force, but 3 Archons and 17 Stalkers will not be enough to be able to take down. Oh, and a couple of the Archons are actually dying to these Spine Crawlers, so they're not going to be enough anti-air to take out the massive amount of Mutas. It's going to be 48 in a second.
And Nexus goes down as well. Still 100 supply lead. And yeah, there's actually no way that INSUR can actually kill this army. There's no way that he can kill all these Mutalisks. He's trying to base trade right now, but Delphi has just played this style so well, amazingly well, very, very well played by him. And I don't know, I gotta admit, I'll admit right now, I'm biased. I love Mutalisk. I love huge Mutalisk play, so this is really fun for me to watch. But really kind of showing what a lot of Protoss players were terribly afraid of back in the day in ZVP.
That's right.
This used to be a lot more common.
And as we can see, the bases are just still there. I mean, Delphi
so many of them,
can still continue to just reproduce whatever he can with just more mutas. And
no
he can take
DTs
the army
too,
on head on. Yeah, absolutely. And no possibility of those coming out. As we can see, not that many structures out there in a simulator put across the map, but now he's revealed.
Yeah, INSUR has not rebuilt his base, and he never will.
No.
Because there's just no chance. I mean, he can start another Nexus, but unfortunately, his army just is not capable of taking out what Delphi has. Look at that. That is a huge flock of Mutalisks, man, and he's still making them. He had so much income from all those bases that he got that it's just not going to be possible for INSUR to do this. And that one pylon, I believe that is one of the last buildings. There's one pylon there, and I think there's one in the middle, but I think, is he actually not going to GG out of this? He's just going to let himself be taken out of the game? I guess he will.
There it is.
I guess that's it. That's the end of the game. And that's the end of the match as well.
No kidding.
Delphi bringing a 5-2 victory to aTn Type, proving that they do belong in the team league here. Moving on to the second round of the lower bracket. Big, big win for them.